today on Dr. Phil. Is this uncle too affectionate?
Grace, I love you with all my heart. You're one of my best friends in the world.
With his 16-year-old niece?
What bothers you about the letter?
It sounds like a love letter.
You have a 38-year-old man in your daughter's bedroom with the door closed on a regular basis.
I know it's inappropriate.
Now he faces his accusers.
It makes my mind go to a place where I don't want it to go.
You put whipped cream on your neck, and Grace says you asked her not once but twice to lick it off.
I don't remember doing that.
The creep meter is pegging over here. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I'll try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. I am sure that most women would love to get a letter like this from their husbands. I love you with all of my heart. The way I love you is unique, and I don't know how to explain it. You have also made me feel very special. That was just an excerpt of a letter that 38-year-old Kevin wrote, but it was not to his wife. He actually wrote that to his 16-year-old niece, Grace. Now, her mother discovered the letter when she decided to do a little snooping after finding an empty bottle of whipped cream hidden in her daughter's bedroom. Now, her daughter later told her mother that her uncle bought the whipped cream, put it on his neck, and asked her to lick it off. Now, despite these red flags, Bridget says she is still not 100% sure that her brother-in-law is having an inappropriate relationship with her daughter, who is 22 years younger than Uncle Kevin.
My daughter Grace is 16. My brother-in-law Kevin became close to Grace after her father died.
When my dad died, I had a tough time in school. I got held back 2 grades and I started getting bullied. My Uncle Kevin started hanging out with me to cheer me up. Pretty soon, he was coming over every day.
His car would be in my driveway when he should have been at work. They spent a lot of time in Grace's room with the door closed.
I lay like this and Kevin lays right here like this. Kevin is not just my uncle, he's also a very good friend.
One day I came home and the washer setting was off. She said she washed her sheets because they were sweaty. And then she said Kevin stopped by. We fought, and then I told her that Kevin could not come over unless I knew about it. But after that, he came over again. I went into her room and found a hidden bottle of whipped cream behind her stack of DVDs. I thought to myself, Kevin has been here, washed sheets, now whipped cream. I started to snoop and found a letter from Kevin to Grace. When I read it, I was physically ill.
I thought the letter Kevin wrote was completely harmless.
It spoke of their relationship. She's getting older now, and she might even get a boyfriend. I won't be happy about it.
You will be dating, you'll eventually find a guy. I'd be lying if there was part of me that doesn't like it.
I felt that something inappropriate had happened. So I grilled her about the whipped cream, and Grace told me that Kevin had put the whipped cream on his neck and asked her to lick it off.
I know what's right and wrong, so I didn't do it. He asked me again and I said no.
Even though Kevin told me that he did say those things about the whipped cream on his neck, he told his wife that he did not. Once I found out that Kevin lied about the whipped cream, I realized that he was capable of lying about anything. I just want to know the truth. Is my brother-in-law a monster?
Are you concerned?
I have some concerns just because I have one side of me that thinks that this is an innocent friendship. And then I have my sister, my other sister that's not married to Kevin, who thinks this is way wrong.
Way wrong. Uh-huh.
So I'm being pulled both ways.
Okay. And you've talked to Grace about it, and you've said that there's nothing inappropriate going on here, right?
I don't feel there's anything inappropriate going on. There's a few things that I've seen, like the whipped cream thing did concern me a little bit. But other than that, I think him and I have nothing but a friendship.
And one that you value.
Yes.
And this kind of started after your dad passed. I'm very sorry for your loss,
Thank you.
by the way. That's never easy, and certainly not easy when you're 14 and leaves a terrible void. So I am sorry for your loss. And,
Thank you.
And Kevin was a help and is a help during that time, kind of filling a void in there. So some good things in that regard,
Yes.
right? And you've appreciated that.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. But you say that your first red flag was Kevin going by your house when you weren't there. And you say that when he comes over, they go in her room and close the door and watch TV. And now, every story has two sides to it. And on the flip side of that doesn't sound good when you just say it, right? On the other side, there's a little brother, and he comes crashing in all the time. And so they close the door to keep the munchkin out from blasting in and all. But nonetheless, you do have a 38-year-old man in your daughter's bedroom with the door closed on a regular basis.
Right.
Is that a good idea?
If it was anybody else besides Kevin, it would be a big deal. But to me, I've seen them together, he's like a big kid. To me, he's her friend. And so when I find these things, I'm conflicted because when I talk to Kevin or my sister who's married to him, they bring me back down. And then when I talk to my sister Tammy, she just brings everything way back up. And then I ask Grace, and then she tells me there's nothing inappropriate going on. And I ask her a lot. And so my stomach is just in knots. I don't know what to believe.
Just from a commonsensical standpoint, what is it that bothers you about this?
I just feel like, what if some of the things that are going through my head are true? And that's just something that my mind cannot handle.
And what is it that's going through your head?
Well, when I found the whipped cream and then I found the letter, I was physically sick.
What bothers you about the letter?
It sounds like a love letter. It sounds like it goes right to the edge of being inappropriate without saying too much.
What do you think about the letter?
I thought that the letter was, like I said, he wrote it after my father died, and I feel like he was trying to boost my confidence and make me feel better about myself. And there was a part where he said that about the guys, how he doesn't like when I date guys or talk to guys. That has always concerned me because, like, I understand if my father was here, he would be concerned about the guys that I talk to or associate with, but like my mom said, that seemed a little over the edge. And other than that, I thought it was a nice letter that he wrote me to make me feel better about myself.
Coming up, a video from Uncle Kevin that could be another red flag.
Is an uncle talking about his niece? Does that sound normative to you?
No. It sounds awkward.
And later,
Maybe you should zip it then.
No,
not say
I
this
know
is
what I
you're
see,
saying.
Kevin.
And he didn't just bring whipped cream over alone. They were making sundaes.
Different people have different versions and remember things differently.
There aren't versions of the truth.
My Uncle Kevin does get upset if he thinks our relationship is being threatened. When I talk to Kevin about boys, he does get mad, so I don't bring it up. Another time when I told him we shouldn't see each other very much, he got very angry. I think Kevin is very sensitive about our relationship, but Kevin doesn't treat me inappropriately at all.
You know, there's something called optimism bias. And that is where we just don't want to believe something. And so we're just so optimistic about it. We just don't want to believe it. So we just kind of have a blind spot to it.
You just described me, yes.
And, you know, I've talked about this concept of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I wrote a book called Life Code. And one of the things we talk about is benefit of the doubt. That you give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And I was raised that way. Give people the benefit of the doubt. I think that's insane. I think it's insane to give people the benefit of the doubt. People go, oh, Dr. Phil, you're being pessimistic. No, I'm not. I don't think you should judge people, prejudge people either. I think you should just gather data and don't judge it one way or another. Just gather data and then look at what you have, what you compile, and see if something is more likely than not. And when we look at the letter that was written, let's look at the letter that was written. There's a 38-year-old man writing to his 16-year-old niece. I love you with all of my heart. Okay. I raised 2 boys. I love them with all of my heart. I don't write them letters and say, I love you with all of my heart. But the way I love you is unique, and I don't even know how to explain it. What is unique about an uncle loving their niece? That you don't even know how to explain it? This is not a novel concept. You will be dating, will eventually find a guy. I'd be lying if I said there wouldn't be a part of me that doesn't like it though, LOL. You have also made me feel very special. Wanting to be around me, telling me I look nice, that I make you smile. Hearts on your phone. I don't care that you are only 16. You are one of my best friends in the world. Hearts on your phone. Telling me I look nice. Really?
Well, if you knew Kevin like I know him, that's why I had to take the letter and white the names out and let people who have no irons in the fire to figure out if it was inappropriate to them, or am I overreacting, or I guess my mind does not want to accept that something bad can happen, and that's how I do a lot of things.
That's how bad things happen. I always ask you guys to make a little video snippet for me.
Okay.
Right? And you did, and you did, everybody did, because I like to kind of take a look at folks and hear what they have to say. And Kevin made a video, and in it he's anguishing about what to do about this.
Yes, he has to me.
And he's talking in there about whether he should take a step back from this relationship. Let's take a look at what he said to me as he made this video sitting in his car.
Maybe it is best if I would just step away and you know, stop spending time with Grace. And you know, I don't know, it's tough. It's tough to do. I mean, you know, I care a lot about her. It's hard just to say, oh, I'm not gonna see you or come around too much anymore. I mean, it's a terribly difficult thing to do, but I really don't know. So I'm just kind of, like I said, gonna go what my wife tells me and whatever she thinks.
Is this an uncle talking about his niece? It's just going to be terribly difficult to do. It's going to be tough. I don't know. I'll just do whatever my wife tells me to do. Does that sound normative to you?
No.
How does it sound to you?
It sounds awkward.
Well, let's take a break. We're going to meet Bridget's older sister, Tammy, who says Kevin has a history of inappropriate behavior. We're going to find out what makes her believe that he's actually molesting her 16-year-old niece. We'll be right back.
I recently found out that Kevin got a new work phone and gave Grace his old phone so that they could have private conversations. Everything Kevin does with Grace is a red flag. In my opinion, Kevin is a child molester.
And later, why Uncle Kevin and his wife threatened to leave.
They're telling me they're threatening that they're going to go home.
But I think we're going to find the bottom here, and if you want to just leave, and we can work this out another way. Bridget is worried her brother-in-law Kevin may be getting a little too close with her teenage daughter Grace. Now, her sister Tammy couldn't agree more. Tammy says Kevin is too touchy-feely with Grace, rubbing her feet, wanting to give her a massage or a back rub. And that's not the only time she says Kevin has crossed the line.
In my opinion, Kevin is a child molester. Carrie did tell me that Kevin did have an affair with a girl that she went to high school with. Carrie did put a stop to that affair, and she did stay married to Kevin. Carrie seems to just stand by while her husband lies and cheats on her. I recently found out that Kevin got a new work phone and gave Grace his old phone so that they could have private conversations. Kevin does have his text messages set up to be automatically deleted. Everything Kevin does with Grace is a red flag. Kevin's behavior is suspicious. I regret not calling the cops on Kevin a long time ago.
You're very concerned.
I have been very concerned. Everything about this is so inappropriate. And they keep a lot of information from me.
Why is that?
Because I'm very outspoken about it. I've had a conversation with Bridget, why she continues to let Grace go with Kevin and Carrie. And then I've also had a discussion with Carrie why she hasn't put a stop to Kevin seeing Grace. Going over to her house in appropriate times when Bridget's at work.
Now, the other sister we're talking about here, Carrie, is Kevin's wife.
That's correct.
And so that's the other sister here.
Yes.
And can I need to just call time out here and make something very, very clear. I don't know what's going on here. I'm committed to finding out, but one thing I know for absolute drop-dead certain is you've done nothing wrong. I know that for sure. You're a child in this situation, and you don't feel like a child because you're 16, and I remember when I was 16, I didn't know everything, but pretty much everything. And I considered myself pretty much the master of the universe and all, but you are a child in many ways, and I don't mean that in a condescending way at all, but you certainly have done nothing wrong here, no matter what this turns out to be. So please let me make that clear 100% here. If things have gotten out of hand here, if things have crossed the line, if things have gotten inappropriate, you're a victim here, not a perpetrator, and I want to be very, very clear about that. You say there are times that Carrie thinks her husband Kevin's at work when he's overseeing her.
Right.
That doesn't seem right. Why is she not reacting to this situation?
Well, I don't know why she's not reacting to it. I mean, there's been several other cases, you know, of infidelity, I guess you would call it, that she seems to forgive him. I'm not sure why.
Okay, and that's between the two of them, and right. I get that, but we're talking here about a child.
Right.
You need to tell me what's going on in your head right now.
I want to believe that nothing's happened because I don't think I can handle anything else.
You're the mother. You should protect Grace.
I do protect
Regardless.
Grace. I do protect Grace.
Wow.
If she's telling me there's nothing going on, and I haven't found anything that says, other than the letter, then he said that he didn't say that.
Okay, he didn't say what?
That he put it on his neck and asked her to lick it off.
But he told you he did.
Yes.
Then he
and then he took it back. So, and Grace said she didn't let him do that, and she didn't tell me that until we were already coming to the show. When I found the whipped cream, I got a whole different story.
That would have been enough evidence for me to go to the police, which I asked you to do.
What are you going to say to the police? I found a can of whipped cream? What can I say to the police? I found a can of whipped cream, and I found this letter.
That would have been a start.
There's nothing there that says anything has happened.
Okay, listen.
I know it's inappropriate, and
Okay,
I
let's
said
forget
at
about-
very least he's grooming her.
We're talking about the whipped cream. She said he sprayed it on his neck and asked me to lick it off.
And I just found that out before we came to the show.
Okay, but what's your conclusion? And later,
I'm not comfortable with people digging things up.
you guys have been making demands and changing the story all within 30 seconds ago. I mean,
we
people
didn't-
who have nothing to hide nothing.
The letter that Kevin wrote to Grace is harmless. It may not have been worded appropriately, but that's just how Kevin writes. The worst thing about Kevin is that he has terrible judgment when it comes to joking. I knew the whipped cream joke was the worst of the inappropriate jokes that have ever been told, but I know that's all it was. Even when his judgment is poor, his heart is always pure.
Okay, let's forget about television. Let's forget about police. Let's forget about all of that. I'm a parent, you're a parent, okay? And let's forget about Dr. Phil. This is Phil and Bridget, just talk for a minute, okay? I just think common sense isn't common enough anymore. What are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking.
I feel like that Kevin could not do something like that to me or Grace. In my head, that's how I feel. I've been seeing a lot of red flags that cause me to question things.
Okay, based on what you know to be a fact, what are you concluding?
I'm concluding it's inappropriate and that possibly he has been grooming her and for something to happen.
Okay, do you think victims of muggings know they're about to get mugged? Seriously, people that are walking down the street that all of a sudden, bam, get hit in the back of the head and they take their watch and their purse and their rings and their money. Do you think they know that's getting ready to happen?
No, but sexual abuse
Do
is
you think
completely
rape
different.
victims think they're getting ready to get raped?
Nope.
Do
But
you
sexual
think
abuse
if you
is
went
different.
out and found all of the molestation victims in the world, do you think that the victims know they're being groomed and know they're being molested before they're getting molested?
No.
Do you think they know that?
No, I think somebody on the outside needs to see that. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Okay, and if they see that, then what do you think should happen? What
I said I
disrupt-
don't want him there when I'm not home.
This is what Grace said in her pre-interview about the whipped cream, because we ask a lot of questions, and Grace is very honest with us. We're talking about the whipped cream. She said, he took it from me, and I thought he was going to eat it. He sprayed it on his neck and asked me to lick it off. I said, that's weird. I know what's right and wrong. I'm not doing it. So he leaned into me and asked me to do it again. I said no. Then he stood up and didn't say anything. He just wiped it off his neck and his face immediately got red. You could tell he knew what he had done was wrong, and he was either embarrassed or he just knew how wrong it was. Everybody knows he's overly affectionate and caring. He would always tell me I'm beautiful and always wanted to hug me and stuff. But only the whipped cream thing made me think, yeah, that's weird.
And I just found that out before we came to the show.
Okay, but now that you know it, what's your conclusion?
She hasn't seen Kevin. We haven't had any contact with him other than coming to the show.
Okay, well, you know what? He's here. So what is the deal with that can of whipped cream? and everything else. We're going to meet Kevin and find out why he says that incident was completely misconstrued. He says she is right to say that. I just can't imagine that Kevin would be inappropriate in any way. She says she just can't wrap her head around that. You'd have to know Kevin to understand. Well, he wants to explain. He's going to get that chance after the break.
Me coming around helping Grace, the school had a snowball effect to where we have formed this close relationship, this special bond that we have. It's not anything that I've set out to do. It's kind of the path that we went down. Grace, I know you're only 16, but I love you with all my heart.
Bridget is concerned that her 38-year-old brother-in-law, Kevin, might be having an inappropriate relationship with her 16-year-old daughter, Grace. But Kevin says things are just simply not what they seem. He says he is only being a buddy to his niece who needs a friend, particularly right after the death of her father. Take a look.
After Grace's father died, she became very depressed. She just really wouldn't get out of bed. I was there as a shoulder to cry on. I would occasionally stop by after work to help her with her online classes. Me coming around, helping her with school, had a snowball effect to where we have formed this close relationship, this special bond that we have. It's not anything that I've set out to do. It's kind of the path that we went down. One time, Grace asked me to bring over a bottle of whipped cream. When I brought the whipped cream over, I made a bad joke, put the whipped cream on my neck. She maybe laughed a little bit, but she's like, that's weird. I was embarrassed. It was a bad joke. I wiped it off really quick. That was the last that we even talked about it. Bridget contacted my wife about that incident, kind of trying to, I feel like, go overboard a little bit, make it look like something terrible had happened. My wife talked to me about it. She really, truly didn't believe anything inappropriate had happened. When the rumors first started flying, I wrote a heartfelt letter to Grace. Grace, I've gotten to know you so well over the last 3 months or so. I love you with all my heart. The way I love you is unique, and I don't know how to explain it, but I think you understand, and I think it's the same for you. I know you're only 16, but you're one of my best friends in the world. I will always, always be there for you. Love, Kevin. There's absolutely nothing inappropriate with my relationship with Grace.
Thank you for being here. We were going to add you, and then backstage you said you were refusing to come out unless you came with your wife?
Yeah.
Why
up
is
to this
that?
point, I felt like I knew where everybody was coming from, but I heard some things that were just not true from Tammy. So I'm not comfortable with people digging things up, and I think the surprises caught me off guard.
Well, we've wanted your wife to be part of this to begin with, and your wife said, no, do not want to be part of the show. Then she said, well, actually, I'll sit in the audience, but I don't want to talk. Then she said, no, I'll sit in the audience, but I'll talk, but only to Dr. Phil. Then she said, okay, now I'll actually come and be, so you've been...
Right. I would like to avoid this whole process.
We've wanted you to be here from the beginning.
Right.
Because I have a lot of questions I want to ask you, but you guys have been making demands and changing them, the story all within 30 seconds ago. I mean, people who have nothing to hide nothing, so I can't imagine why you would be going through all of these things. Because you don't know what I think. You might be pleasantly surprised to know what I think. And I'm curious, did you guys all have a conference call yesterday where you worked out the story you were going to tell and how everybody was going to tell the same story once you got here on the phone, except for Tammy on Saturday night? And what do you know about the call, Tammy?
I looked at Bridget and I said, what is it? What's going on? She's like, something must have happened with Carrie and Kevin because they're telling me they're threatening that they're going to go home. And I said, well, what happened? Well, then Grace said, well, she had talked to Kevin about a few of the questions that were asked.
It's not true.
Well, then why did Grace lie?
I haven't spoke to Grace. These two spoke.
Well,
Carrie and
You know what? I think we're going to find the bottom here, and I think you want to find the bottom here because do you know what a mandated reporter is?
Yes.
And I am one.
So am I, and apparently y'all don't take this seriously, but I do. You want to be part of this conversation, and if you want to just leave and we can work this out another way. but I'm not comfortable with everything that's flying around here, and it needs some clarification. Because I'm real uncomfortable with this, and I have one priority here, and that's the safety of this child. And I don't get the urgency on anybody's part about the safety of this child other than Tammy.
The phone call consisted of us discussing that some of us felt uncomfortable about the situation and how it might go. With Kevin saying that he was going to call the whole thing off, me and my sister Carrie were saying, let's go get the help that we need. And we were all in agreement that that's what we needed to do.
Dr. Phil, can I say something? I noticed this started about almost a year ago, October, and I brought it to her attention that I felt it was inappropriate for Kevin to take Grace to his private office, which I found that out.
To help her with her schoolwork because
Supposedly.
no one else has offered or knew how.
Well, why not?
If you were so concerned, why didn't you come up and spend time with Grace? How much time have you spent with Grace since Jason passed away?
Probably 0.
Thank you.
There you go. How can you say? How much time have you spent with Kevin?
But
how much time have you spent with Kevin spending time with Grace? 0. So how can you?
And it's okay.
All your information is based on gossip.
How is it okay for Kevin and Grace to be in her bedroom with the door shut, you not knowing about it, and when you found out about it, no, when she found out about it, you
places
told
all
him
the
to
time,
get
and I
his,
don't
you know
check
what,
in with Kevin.
How is any of this appropriate?
So you lied to your wife.
Where am I lying? I don't remember doing that.
Have you had any concerns about the relationship between the two of them?
The only concern that I have is that the time he spends with her takes away from me. And that's purely selfish. And that's the only problem I have.
And that's the day that
Were you concerned at all about the whipped cream incident?
I feel like that was totally inappropriate, but if you knew Kevin the way that we all know Kevin, it is a very bad joke. It was very bad. It looks very bad. The letter looks very bad. It sounds very bad. I know that, but I know him. And
But
Grace,
you were concerned about the whipped cream thing because
yeah, that was a really bad idea.
you guys text back and forth about it. You said, is what Grace said true? That only requires a simple yes or no. Kevin, you said it was just a dumb joke because I told her bringing whipped cream could seem weird and we had laughed about it. And Carrie, you said, so then you put whipped cream on your neck and told her to lick it off? Kevin, no, I put it on my neck and wiped it off real quick. Carrie, you said, so you put whipped cream on your neck. Kevin, yes, and immediately wiped it off. I knew it was a bad joke. So you lied to your wife.
Where am I lying?
Where you said, I put it on there and wiped it off immediately, because Grace says you asked her not once but twice to lick it off.
Okay. I don't remember doing that. I'm not calling Grace a liar if she said that happened. But will you ask her? Will you ask her if I did wipe it off really quickly? I mean, can you ask her that?
Well, I'm sure you did after you asked her to lick it off twice.
I don't remember saying that.
You then stood up, turned around, got really red-faced, and then wiped it off.
Well, as soon as I did it, I knew it was a bad joke. I wiped off, and I knew I was uncomfortable that I did that.
You forget the part about asking her twice to lick it off and being rejected twice, and then you wiped it off quickly because you were embarrassed. That's what Grace said. I don't have to ask her. I have it on.
Okay.
I have it recorded.
Okay.
That's what she said.
Okay. That was very inappropriate. That was wrong of me to do so.
Did that happen or did that not happen?
I do not remember saying the words "lick it off." I remember putting it on my neck, going like that. She said, I thought she kind of said, "That's weird." I said, just went like that, and that was the end of it.
So you were putting it on there and leaning in?
I did lean in, yes, and I knew it was wrong. And
why'd you do that?
It was just a bad joke, a mistake, Dr. Phil.
And he didn't just bring whipped cream over alone.
Mm-hmm.
They were making sundaes.
Okay. Well, then There was another version you told about that in your pre-interview. You said Grace wanted me to bring a bottle of whipped cream to the house because she wanted me to make sundaes. I told her that was kind of odd and asked her why she wanted me to bring the whipped cream. I was half-assed joking with her when I told her this could look bad. I didn't want to get it for her, but I'm a goofball and don't think things through entirely. I brought it over there and left right after. For some odd reason, she hid the bottle of whipped cream in her room after it was empty. Her mom found it and asked Grace about it, and she thought I brought it over. But we didn't know why she hid the bottle. Maybe she ate it all and didn't want anybody to know. So you said you brought it over and then just left right away. So you had that version in your pre-interview, then the version you just said, where I don't remember asking her to lick it off twice. Then you said, well, I do remember leaning in, and then there's Grace's version. So there's like 4 versions. 3 of them are yours and 1 of them's hers.
Right.
Can I add another version?
Different people have different versions and remember things different. I don't think anyone here is sitting here accusing anybody of being a liar. I'm not. I'm not accusing Grace of being a liar.
There aren't versions of the truth.
There are, true.
There aren't versions of the truth.
And Dr. Phil, everything here is still, on this part, is true.
You have another version?
Just because I was told first that they were making sundaes. And then I was told the other day when I found out that there were no sundaes.
Yeah, there were none, right?
Basically, the Sunday situation didn't even cross our mind. We didn't even think of it when he got there with it. So we were sitting on my bed eating it, squirting it into our mouths like people do with it, not in each other's mouths. We were squirting it in our own mouths.
I don't believe I had any, did I?
Yeah, you had some, yeah. But anyways, it was basically gone by the time he had left, and like he said, he thought that people would think that it was weird that there was a bottle of whipped cream, so I had hid it because I know how my family is, and I know that they like to make assumptions and lie about things.
But if you would have told me Kevin was coming over to make sundaes, then when I found the whipped cream bottle, I wouldn't have had a concern. When you keep it a secret from me that these things are going on, and then I find it, it makes my mind go to a place where I don't want it to go.
I believe
and I understand that now.
I know how to move this thing along, so I think we can get to a productive place. And I would like to talk just you and I.
Okay.
I'd like to just ask all of y'all to excuse us at the break here so Kevin and I can just talk one-on-one. We'll be right back. We have run out of time, but I still have a lot to say to this family. We talked to him briefly today, but tomorrow I'm going to talk one-on-one with Uncle Kevin and give him a chance to tell his side of the story.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil, the drama continues.
You gave her this Valentine's card, and you gave your wife a mug.
His family's suspicions.
Sometimes she sleeps in your bedroom on a mattress on the floor, and your wife's in another room.
I agree there's things that look bad.
But what else is coming out?
Let's talk about what needs to happen, okay?
I thought maybe we could talk about me being a horrible parent some more.
That has Mom challenging Dr. Phil.
You walk in these shoes, you'll know what it's like.
Well, lady, when you walk in these shoes, you'll see bull when you see it.
That's tomorrow.
Plus, we'll also talk to Grace's older sister, who feels their uncle puts her sister before his own wife. We are just getting started. I want to thank all of my guests today. Log on to drphil.com and share your thoughts on our message boards. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter using hashtag Dr. Phil. We'll see you tomorrow.
Today on Dr. Phil. She wants custody of her unborn grandchild.
This white woman doesn't have the right to say you guys aren't fit.
Is mom being protective?
She's telling her mother that you're hitting her.
I've never hit Kirsten.
Why is she saying that if it's not true?
Or controlling?
Jaden is a waste of perfectly good breathing space. He just needs to go away.
I'm scared of her. She's a terrifying woman.
You are so fake.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. How you doing? Hello? Take a look at this cute young couple, about 7 months pregnant and ready to be a family. But my guest today, Karen, says her daughter's pregnancy is far more bitter than sweet. Karen says after her daughter, Kirsten, met Jaden, he's done nothing but use and abuse her. Karen is terrified for her daughter, but is even more terrified for her future granddaughter. She says she has every intention of getting custody of the baby immediately after she is born. But Kirsten and Jaden are adamant that they will not be handing over the newborn to Karen.
I'm in the last trimester of my pregnancy, and my mom is pursuing custody of my unborn baby. My mom hates my fiance, Jaden, because she thinks he's both mentally and physically abusive. She thinks he's lazy. He's gonna be an unfit parent.
I didn't want Kirsten to tell her mother about the baby because I knew she would come in and manipulate the situation and take the baby. You have to kick her out. It's the only way to keep our baby.
My mom thinks that Jaden is a deadbeat and he's never going to be financially stable. She threatens me with taking my baby to keep me away from Jaden.
She already hired a lawyer to make a deal with Kirsten to exile me out of my baby's life. I want her gone.
My mom wants to cut Jaden's parental rights off completely. She doesn't want him to have anything to do with our child.
You need to learn how to put your foot down.
My mom told me that if I was to sit down and sign over the rights of my child, that I would have more of a say in the matter. If not, she's going to withhold my child from me.
Kirsten and I told Karen that we were going to fight her to the very end for our daughter. Karen told Kirsten that she's going to lose and the baby will be hers.
Well, Karen says her reason for wanting custody of her grandchild is rational. She believes a young couple will just simply be unfit parents. She says there is absolutely no way she will allow them to condemn this baby to a lifetime of struggling.
My daughter Kirsten is a very smart girl who started making bad decisions, and the worst one she ever made was being with Jaden. Jaden is abusive, controlling, manipulative, and a liar. He's just a horrible human being. I cannot stand him. I want him out of my life. He needs to stay the hell away from my daughter, but I sure as hell don't want him anywhere near my grandkid. Jaden has manipulated my daughter to go back to him and stay in this disgusting, filthy motel. I know there's registered sex offenders and drug users. Together, Jaden and Kirsten have created a horrible environment for each other and an even worse environment for the baby. Kirsten puts herself in harm's way every single day by being with Jaden, and if she's not going to protect herself or that baby, I have to. My plan is for her to come over and bond with the baby, feed the baby, bathe the baby. Jaden, however, would not be allowed to come to my home or be able to see this baby without supervised visitations. He's already made threats to run off to the reservation. There is nothing in the world that Jaden could ever do to ever get on my good side, ever.
Okay, so you're going to have to fill us all in here because looking at the two of you, you're the one that's pregnant.
Yes.
So this is your baby.
Yes.
So under what theory would you think you have any right to someone else's baby?
Somebody has to stand up for this baby and to be a voice for her.
But you're talking about this to your daughter as though it's up to you. I've decided I'm going to take your baby because I don't think you're going to raise it right.
Right.
Well, who gives you that right?
When there's abuse and when there's drugs.
The baby hasn't been born yet.
She's being abused. She's being physically abused. That's not okay. And when she begs me for help, when she also tells other people, including her own counselor, that she's scared to death of Jaden.
Are you being abused?
No.
Have you been abused?
No.
Have you told your mother you're being abused?
I have in the past exaggerated stories and lied out of anger. Then whenever I went to go tell her the truth, that he wasn't doing those things, she didn't believe me.
So you've lied?
Yes.
Well, how do I know whether you were lying then or you're lying now?
Because he hasn't.
You've gone to your mother and said, I've been beaten and abused.
Yes.
But in fact, you weren't.
Yes.
Okay. Have you told other people you were beaten and abused?
Yes.
Did you tell a counselor you were beaten and abused?
Yes.
And now, because you want to keep this baby and you want to be with Jaden, you're saying, no, I made all that up at the time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is that believable?
No, and I can see why it's not.
Mm-hmm. Are you on drugs?
No.
Is she on drugs?
Yes.
How do you know that?
She's already admitted that she smoked pot. And
what else?
Kirsten is an opiate user and has been for years.
Have you done opiates during your pregnancy?
No.
Is this baby subject to being born addicted to some type of drug?
No, I have smoked marijuana, but I haven't done any of the opiates or any of that other stuff.
Then why did you tell me you did?
I didn't tell you I did.
You're pregnant and you're smoking pot, and you've obviously been doing it your whole pregnancy. Correct? Yes? I'm worried. I'm worried about her, and you know this. It's just not okay. That's not okay.
Jaden says that you are filling her head with poison and lies and alienating her from him when he, in fact, simply wants to raise his child.
You know, he is just poison himself. Jaden is a waste of perfectly good breathing space. He is poison to my daughter.
You say he's abusive, controlling,
Extremely.
manipulative?
He always has been since day one. I'm never going to respect a person who physically abuses my daughter and who manipulates her and beats her up and hurts her in every aspect and obviously is okay with her doing drugs and does drugs with her. What kind of a man does that?
We're going to add Jaden to this conversation. We'll hear what he has to say when we come back.
Karen lies about me all the time.
Jaden has put cigarettes out on her face at least twice.
If she thinks she has proof, I would love to see it, because I've never hit Kirsten.
And later...
Was that before or after you said all those horrible things about me in front of everyone?
Because you're a horrible person. I'm going to say horrible things about you.
She's a terrifying woman.
And you just shut up because you don't know anything. Jaden is so controlling, he won't let her take a job unless they also hire him. One particular job Kirsten had, they said she did wonderful and she was a really hard worker, but she lost her job because of Jaden.
Karen says Jaden is a manipulative, abusive waste of space and wants Kirsten to wake up and smell the roses. Now, Kirsten says she knows why her mother thinks Jaden is abusive, but says Karen just refuses to listen to the truth.
Karen is mean, disrespectful, rude, inconsiderate. Karen lies about me all the time, and she doesn't care if it's true or not.
Jaden has put cigarettes out on her face at least twice. Staff members at a place where she used to live have seen it on camera.
And if she thinks she has proof, I would love to see it, because I've never hit Kirsten. Ever since she's entered my life, she's been a cancer. Karen's crazy. She's always filling Kirsten's head with lies about me. She's destructive and inhumanely evil. 95% of me thinks she will never change. I knew she was a snake. I knew she wanted my baby.
Kirsten has told my husband and I so many times about the abuse and begged us to go and tell him to leave her alone. And I told him that if I ever found out that he laid another hand on my daughter, that I was going to put my hands on him.
I will never see Karen as a mother-in-law at all.
Okay, Jaden, I'm glad you are joining this conversation. You've been listening to everything so far, right?
Yes.
All right. There are some allegations on the floor that you have been abusive to Kirsten, which the logic follows that if you're abusive to her,
Yes.
that the child would be in danger.
Yeah.
True or false?
Very false.
She's telling her mother that you're hitting her. Why is she saying that if it's not true?
Out of anger, I guess. Because the more abusive one is her.
If she comes to me and says you're beating her up, I'm going to at least put on the table the theory that you're beating her up.
Yeah, I understand that.
I'm not just going to say, well, she's
fair.
lying. I'm going to believe her until I have evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. I understand. It sounds insane. I mean, people who know me, actually know me, she met me 5 times, seen me in person 5 times, talked to me 7 times. She hunted me down at work. She follows us. She watches outside our house. I haven't done anything to her or say anything really bad to her.
Really? Okay.
Okay. I'm not.
You are so fake.
You say that Kirsten is bipolar and she's the one with the anger problem.
She is.
Would you consider yourself to be at risk for erratic behavior? Would you consider yourself to be at risk for explosive anger?
Not as much as before.
More so than someone that does not have
Yes.
the challenge to manage.
Yes.
So if you had a baby and you were sleep deprived and the baby was crying and the baby was creating stress for you, could that create a perfect storm that could cause you to have explosive anger if you didn't have this regulated by the time you had the baby?
That's why he's here, to help me.
Parenting is often a partnership.
Yes.
So you have to examine whether you have an effective partner or not. You have a child, correct?
Yes.
And how are you doing on raising your current child?
He's pretty much one of the best kids I've ever seen in my life.
How often do you see the child?
We just started last month, and it's been growing because me and the mother have differences.
And the child is how old?
5.
Because when we asked you about that, you said, I think his mother or grandmother has custody of.
Well, the grandmother has custody.
But you said, I think you don't know who has custody.
No, the grandmother does. I confirmed it.
Since we talked to you?
Yeah.
Because at the time we did the pre-interview with you, you said, I think the grandmother has custody.
I had to call my mother about it and talk to her about it.
You didn't know who had custody of your 5-year-old child?
Not before then, no.
You didn't know?
No.
So you're not financially stable enough to have custody of that child, but you're now going to have a second child?
Yeah. It's going to be difficult.
All right, well, Kirsten and Jaden say they have a plan to raise their daughter, and Karen needs to leave them alone. Well, I plan on asking them exactly what that plan is when we come back, and I'm going to share some information with them that I think might help them evaluate their own plan. We'll be right back.
Our engagement came about romantically, although without a ring.
I am absolutely not shocked she doesn't have a ring because, Puke, where is she going to get one?
Kirsten and I wanted to get engaged because we felt no one in the whole world made us feel as comfortable as we do with each other. And we want to grow old together.
Show me the ring.
Our engagement came about romantically, although without a ring.
I'm absolutely not shocked she doesn't have a ring because puke, where is she gonna get one?
We were just sitting there talking one day. He asked me if I would marry him, and I said yes.
I'm obviously shocked. I don't even know what to say to this right now.
Kirsten asked me, when did I want to get married? I said, let's get married on the Dr. Phil show while we're in LA. Who better to acknowledge it than Dr. Phil? I think Karen would respect me a little more if I was to marry her daughter and show her that I'm committed to her.
I'm sorry, I just want to vomit.
Okay, well, let's put that on hold for a bit. So, what are y'all discussing while all this is going on here? Y'all been
we're just keeping each other strong because all these people laughing, everyone judging us by a single story from her.
From me? I'm not the one who...
I mean,
I'm not the one who brought us here. You brought me here.
No, she brought you here to either tell you to get off our backs. Stop,
She could simply ask me that.
She tried.
No, she never did. And you just shut up because you don't know anything.
Because you do.
Well, I don't want you to shut up.
I'm not gonna. Not on her side.
I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have to say because I learned when people talk. And sorry, but it's my name on the ball.
I just can't stand him. I'm sorry. I just can't.
What do you want to do?
He just needs to go away.
Well, since that's not going to happen,
I know.
would it be all right if I went ahead and talk to him?
Yes.
I was trained as a forensic psychologist, among other things, and that means psychology in the law. And one of the roles that I often filled was to evaluate people in your situation to determine their fitness as parents. And I often talked to people that were not even almost fit as parents. But, I never just said, you are unfit to be parents. I said, you are unfit to be parents, and here is your roadmap to getting back to where you need to be. This is what you need to do to become fit parents. And every state has a set of criteria that they use to determine whether you're fit parents or whether you're not. And I put them together for you in your state. Number one, they look to see if you have mental and physical health. That will be evaluated. It won't be a matter of what you say or don't say or what you've said or not said in the past. But that's a very doable thing. Yeah. Both of you, very doable thing. That one you can handle and manage. So you don't have a problem there if you're responsible enough to do what you have to do. Then you have to have the capacity and disposition to provide the child with protection, food, clothing, medical care, and other basic needs. Now, do you have a job?
I'm getting one on my way back. I was supposed to actually go to an interview, but they stopped this because...
But you don't have a job now?
No, not right now.
And how long has it been since you've had a job?
A couple weeks? Roofing?
You don't have a job?
No.
So neither one of you have a job. You need to get a job. It doesn't matter to me. It matters to you. Because an evaluator is going to determine whether or not you're bringing home a regular paycheck to feed and clothe your baby. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you, that's the yardstick they're going to measure you with. And ability to give the child love, affection, guidance, education, and impart the family's religion or creed. You guys can certainly do that. But you can't be in a situation where there's violence in the home. You can't have that, right?
Yeah.
Willingness to maturely encourage and provide frequent and meaningful contact between the child and the other parents. So if you got to make sure that you've got a family situation around this child, you got to prepare them for responsible adulthood And you've got to have exemplary modeling so the child witnesses firsthand what it means to be a good parent, a loving spouse, and a responsible citizen. And you can't do that if you're doing drugs. You can't do that if you're not working. You can't do that if you're not taking care of you don't have a stable living arrangement. Do y'all have a stable home now where you're living?
No.
It's the bad side of town.
I did a street view. There are 80 registered sex offenders within a 1-mile radius of where you're currently staying. Where are you living now?
In a motel.
You're living in a motel now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in a safe neighborhood?
People think that it's the bad side of town.
I did a street view. I'm not showing where it actually is, but this is the neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also did something else. I went to the registered sex offender and I checked to see these are the registered sex offenders within 1 mile of where you're staying. There are 80 registered sex offenders within a 1-mile radius of where you're currently staying. I just thought I'd check on a few of these, and I've blurred this guy's face and name because I don't want anybody going over a day and beating the hell out of him. But he's convicted of felony sexual contact with a minor under 16, particularly sexual contact with 2 victims, 7-year-old females. We've checked another one, this one right here, sexual contact with 3 9-year-old females, federal abuse. Then we checked this one right down a block away, convicted of possession, manufacture, and distribution of child pornography. Victims were a 4-year-old girl and an 8-year-old girl. These were all within a block or two of where you're currently staying. So if that's where you're currently staying, I'm just telling you, if you're challenged on your fitness as a parent, that's not a good mark. These are things that all can be addressed and fixed. And what I'm saying is, if you want to be fit parents and you want to have a chance to raise this baby, you have to address those things that would exclude you as a parent. And I get the sneaking suspicion, whoever starts and triggers it, that one of the things is you have a volatile relationship between the two of you. That would be true. That would be true. I can help you with that. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. But do y'all have a volatile relationship, one that blows up and you have arguments and anger, whether it's her attacking you and you defending, or what? However it starts, you wind up having physical altercations.
Well, really, the only fights we've ever had was always, she's the topic.
Regardless of the topic, wait a minute, it doesn't matter. You don't care about that. It doesn't matter what the topic is, whether it's her or the Beatles or whatever. It doesn't matter the topic. It does happen.
Why not, blow up, destroy everything and hurt everything? Just more arguing, taking walks, and then...
Arguing back and forth and then going our separate ways for a little bit is what we've learned really helps.
Not kicking someone out of someone's life completely.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break. Karen says she plans on getting custody of her granddaughter as soon as possible. We'll talk about if that's likely to happen or not. We'll be right back.
Karen has taught Kirsten nothing but negativity about the Native American culture. She thinks Native Americans sit on the reservation and do drugs and drink all day. This white woman is coming into our lives and taking our baby. She isn't even blood related. Why would she do that to her daughter? someone she says she loves.
I'm trying to talk to you guys about criteria that will be used to evaluate the two of you as a couple and your fitness as parents. It's kind of like I'm giving you the answers to the test.
Yeah.
But y'all seem more interested in whispering back and forth than listening to what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm trying to say, if you'll be honest with me and tell me what's going on, I'm prepared to try to get you some help to try to resolve these issues and make you bulletproof here. But you seem more in denial about this than you are interested in getting real about it.
It's not that we're in denial. We know where we're at and we're in a tough spot. We're not in the best position we could be.
Because we have everything talked out, planned out. It's just, I wanted to go before this. I wanted to cancel this. I planned on it because this doesn't really help the situation with me and her.
What have you two heard from me since you've been here?
Get
a job. That we do need to get a job and get stuff stable, but we do have the ability to do it.
You said you didn't want to come here, you wanted to cancel this, and that this is not helpful.
I don't think it is. This doesn't seem really, something we needed. And we're actually not even getting a chance to talk to her. She's still doing what she's doing when we're by ourselves with her. She's still crushing us and saying all this stuff. And what she makes us do and what lengths would actually have to go to
Because when you're mad and going and banging on someone's door.
Making a little girl cry. You made her cry.
Whose door did I bang on?
Mine.
You did. Who? The night that you
His motel room that he wasn't even there at? And then a little girl, as in some, 16, 18-year-old girl that opened the door and said, Jaden's at his friend's house. I said, okay, thank you.
But when you're banging and kicking at his door.
I never kicked on that door, and you know it.
Yeah, you
did.
Get
the polygraph out here,
sitting
please.
Across the street,
please.
Sitting in your car, staring.
Well, anyway.
You were with me, because remember you wanted to get dropped off. Because you were making the decision to move out yet again to go live with him. And then you changed your mind, remember? Because you said, no, I don't want this life. Remember?
Was that before or after you said all those horrible things about me in front of everyone?
Because you're a horrible person. I'm going to say horrible things about you. Only the truth.
You don't even know me. You really don't.
What I do know is nothing but bad stuff.
What kind of person do you have watching us to tell us
We don't have anybody watching you. Boy, please.
Well, then how come you always say you're being watched? I have people watching you. It's like...
I don't have anyone watching you.
Then why do you say it?
Kirsten, when you're walking down the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have friends who actually work, go on a job site and say, why is your daughter out walking the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning? What do I have to say about that? Why are you out walking the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning, crying?
We're both Native American. Pretty much that's her coming down to the reservation, seeing a pregnant Native woman and saying, I want your baby.
You said there are things you wanted to say without her yelling you down that you haven't had a chance to say. So she's not going to interrupt, and the floor is yours.
And I don't understand why she's trying to take a baby that's not even closely blood related to her. We're both Native American. That's an adopted mom.
Well, I'm Hispanic.
Please.
Sorry.
Pretty much that's her coming down to the reservation, seeing a pregnant Native woman and saying, I want your baby. You're not financially stable. You're not able to take anything to help this baby, and I can provide it a better future. I was scared. I'm scared of her. I mean, I seem like I'm not scared of her, but she is a terrifying woman. I don't know. I just wanted her to understand that we're not alone anymore. We're not by ourselves, just us two, scared of her anymore. There's people who stood up and told us, she doesn't have the right to say you guys aren't fit. I mean, we're young, and we plan on getting married. We plan on doing everything, but not everyone has a good life. Not everyone, has success. I came here to try to be her friend, pretty much. I came here to try. That's what she convinced me of. That's what everyone convinced me of, is at least attempt to be something towards her.
You said, Jaden, everybody doesn't have a good life, but everybody ought to have a shot. If you two have a relationship where it gets violent, that's a deal breaker. And you are the mother here. If you allow yourself to be in a situation where you are hit, threatened, abused in any way, you're now putting your baby in jeopardy, and don't you do it. You need professional help with it. I will provide you that professional help, but you have to tell me you need it, and then we help you. By the way, we did a drug screen on Kirsten. All type prescription drugs. She's negative on everything. She is not positive for a single drug. So this mother is drug-free.
Good. Stay that way.
Seriously, that's what you have to say.
No, I'm glad, I'm thankful, but she needs to stay that way.
You just told me at the top of the show, I know damn well she is on drugs. I know she is on drugs. I guarantee you, as a fact, she is on drugs. And I tell you, we drug screened her, and she is completely clean on everything.
I'm glad.
And your response is, well, then stay that way.
Well, I didn't say it like that, but I'm glad.
The
but
hell you didn't. Do you want me to play it back? Give her the credit for what she does right.
I do.
Okay. All right. I'm very glad you're drug-free.
Yes.
Very glad you're drug-free. Best of luck to you. Apparently, it's really good to get old, so we thought we'd play our own little numbers game. Can anyone guess Carrie's age? Carrie is really, drum roll please. You know, we are living longer these days, and apparently it's really good to get old because 40 is the new 30, 60 is the new 40, which means 70 must be the new 50. People today are doing amazing things at all ages and defying the odds. Take a look at what these folks can do.
What's going on here today?
Well, I'm going to shopping.
Try to move every muscle every day, so let's get down and do some push-ups. Anything the young can do, the old can do better.
Joining us today is the very youthful Dr. Frida Lewis Hall. Glad to have you here.
I was glad to be here.
And you can also join us from home throughout the show by using the hashtag #GetOld. We've got some people here in our audience also defying the odds. We thought we'd play our own little numbers game. First, we've got Carrie. Okay, Carrie, let's see. Here you are. All right, so what do you think? 51, 44. We're getting some good numbers here. Carrie is really, drum roll please, 61. All right. Wow. You look great. Sit down.
Thank you.
All right, now let's take a look at Edna. Where are you, Edna? Stand up. Here we go. So, everybody take a look. How old do you think Edna is? 83? 78? 73? All right, another drum roll, please. Edna is a very gorgeous 94. Wow. All right. We can see clearly aging is not what it used to be. Age is really only a number. Of course, the numbers on a scale are real, and Patty decided at an age when many give up to do something about it and turn her life around. Take a look.
I was inspired to change my life after my divorce. I was motivated by some negative comments during my marriage to improve myself. I had been heavy for many years. When my daughter received her induction into the Bar Association, I was probably about 189 pounds. And seeing that picture with my daughter, I was just devastated. It was a big wake-up call. I lost the weight by joining a gym. I would walk on my breaks at school, on my lunch. I've lost a total of 60 pounds. I feel better about myself. People will comment that I look more like their sister than their mother. I think they're annoyed. I believe it's very important to maintain your health and maintain a healthy lifestyle to keep you looking as young as you can for as long as you can.
Well, great attitude. Now, about 7 years ago, you went through quite a transformation, right?
I did. Well, in 2004, I saw that picture that had been taken of her at the bar induction. I was just mortified, and I thought, this girl must be just so embarrassed. The man who is now my son-in-law, he had called me and he said, I'd like your permission to marry Julie, and I want your blessing before. And I said, and how many years are you planning before this wedding takes place? And he said, about 2.5. So I thought, oh my God, I've got to do something.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me congratulate Patty for taking this kind of life challenge and turning it into a life opportunity. That is so important. You also said something really important I want to key into, and that is a lot of people think of aging as something that happens outside and that they want to control. I tell people, you know, nobody's ever died of wrinkles. So a part of healthy aging really has to do with what goes on in the inside, and Patty and I have talked about the postmenopausal years. I don't mean to be a downer, are actually years that bring high risk for certain illnesses, for osteoporosis, for diabetes, and for heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women over the age of 40. You want to remember the things on the inside that you can't see as well. Maintaining a healthy blood pressure, checking on blood glucose, making sure that you're checking on your bone health. So it's important to look for screening program for yourself to check on cancers, for example, colon, cervical, and breast cancer. Let's say that I'm around the new 40.
Okay.
And so my doctor and I sit, and based on my age and my risk, we put a plan together of the screenings I should have in the course of a year.
Well, you've got a pretty healthy role model for aging in your life.
That I do. My daddy just turned 97 years old.
97. There he is.
97. This was taken just last week. And here's how he's my inspiration. He's my inspiration in a lot of ways, but from an aging perspective, I look at him and say, if this has to last me 37 more years, I better up my game a little bit, right? So, you know, how do you do that? And Patty told us how to do it. You know, it's a little bit at a time. Make a plan and then work the plan.
Now, Frida, didn't your dad also just get married at 90?
He did. 2 days before his 90th birthday. And, you know, he's proof that you can find love at any age. And in fact, he's not alone in those views. A recent survey that was conducted by Pfizer found that 81% of people over the age of 65 thought that you were never too old to get married. And you know, it's a new age for aging. Pfizer has a program called Get Old, and it's really intended to help people think differently about aging. And you can go on to getold.com, or you can join the Get Old Facebook and Twitter account, and you can learn more about how to make choices for a healthier life and to try and develop some new perspectives and ideas about what it means to get old.
Well, look, Frida and I get together all the time, and we want to hear from you. So use hashtag GetOld on Facebook and Twitter to send us your thoughts and questions about getting old. I want to thank all of my guests today, especially Dr. Frida Lewis Hall. We'll see you next time. So good to meet you.